On this episode, a legend stops by. You ask questions, and I answer them. This is the Ask Gary V Show. What's up, everybody? This is Gary Vaynerchuk, and this is episode 212 of the Ask Gary V Show. And as we can tell, we have a very, very, very special guest. I'm not sure how, for the four people that don't know who you are, you're gonna introduce yourself. For me, from afar, we're just getting to know each other, but from afar, music and political icon is where I put you, my friend. Wyclef, why don't you make a little say hello to the Vayner Nation before we get into India's questions.
Vayner Nation, how you do? My name is Wyclef, representing 212. I used to do this in the cafeteria all day. Back in the days, I used to listen to NWA. You don't know me, man, I'm from the Fugees. Born in Haiti, raised in Brooklyn, New York City, then moved to New Jersey. That is natural. That's what we used to do, like in the cafeteria.
By the way, I just want to say,
kicked us out. You know what I mean? Like, yo!
If I could naturally do that, I'd have 17.9 million followers on Instagram. That's incredible.
Wyclef to the principal's office now.
When did you realize you had that ability? When did that first happen?
Oh, just the ability of words?
Yeah.
Man, being in a small village coming from Haiti.
When did you come to the US?
10 years old.
10 years old.
Yeah. And I tell my daughter, like, it's funny, right? Because she gets everything. And I'll be like, yeah, your dad was in Haiti. And then she goes, here go dad again with the story that he rode a donkey when he was there goes the same story. But
it's true. I was born in Belarus, in the former Soviet Union. We came here, we were super poor. My daughter just had a birthday, and I looked at my wife and I said, she just got more presents on this birthday than I got in my life.
Facts, man.
I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, man.
It's the way it is. India, can you flow? You want to rap battle Wyclef?
India, flow.
Let's
flow.
That's not where you're going.
Too embarrassing.
All right, so why don't we start the show? Cool. And so I tweeted out to let people know you were coming. So there's some questions, business questions, music questions, I'm sure, other questions. Yeah. Let's see where people went. India?
First one from Omar.
Omar asks, making connections is a huge part of the music industry. For somebody who is starting out, where do I start?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think it's a little more easier for you, Omar, than it was for me.
100%. There's a thing called the fucking internet.
Yeah, the internet is key. I mean, really for me, we had to sit, the Fugees literally had to go through 7,000 A&Rs saying, this shit ain't gonna work. Like rappers playing guitars and women singing and rapping, no, that's too much. So with the internet, you can actually build your own audience.
And you were going through that process. I'm trying to think now, that was happening in 91, 2, and 3 before 4 and 5. It seems like it was 94, 3, 4, 5 when it happened?
It was going 93, 94. Do you know how weird it is? 1993, a group shows up with an acoustic guitar, and we talking about we hip hop, we from the hood, and then you have one girl, and Clef grabs his guitar, and another kid's a rocker, and I start playing guitar, and Lauren starts to sing John Lennon, Imagine. Then I go into a freestyle. Can you imagine someone who's A&Ring that time?
Yeah, they know.
Do you know what I mean? So the beautiful thing about the internet right here is that you get to create your world. And if your music or whatever you're doing is really original, it's going to find its key audience, because through the internet, we've learned it's a big universe, right? So you got your crowd.
I completely agree with him, and I say this all the time. The best way to sell is for people to come to you, right? And the fact that there are things now like Musical.ly and Snapchat and Instagram and all the other platforms we know, the fact that you can actually produce music, put it on SoundCloud, and actually serendipitously walk into shit because somebody heard it or shared it and changed your world, and that's just incredible. Like, people didn't have that opportunity. There are so many. How many Fugees, how many, I'm dying to ask you this question. How many very talented musicians do you think did not get discovered in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s because there was just only so many A&R people? They maybe lived in Memphis, they maybe lived in Haiti, they maybe lived in Belarus. Like, in your opinion, do you believe that if you are great it would have just happened? Or do you think in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, a generation that we don't grow up anymore, there were actually real big time talents that never got their opportunity because they just didn't have the luck of being in the right place at the right time?
Yeah, but you know what's funny about what you said, right? Is you see the music of the 50s, the 40s, the 60s, the 70s was a different thing because people wasn't worried about show business.
Right.
People was more worried about
the music.
The music. You see, so this is how we know of Thelonious Monk. This is how we could go back to Muddy Waters. Like, baby, don't go, baby. It wasn't really about, because think about it now. Whenever we, this generation, want inspiration out as a producers, and we go, I'm in the studio with Avicii.
Okay.
Right? And we sitting in winter in Stockholm. It's dark, right?
Yeah.
So we're sitting there and, you know, and we're talking about chords and progressions. And what's the reference? We go back to freaking like Ray Charles, Georgia. So it's like, at the end of the day, I just think that we have to understand that the idea of the Fugees was musicality. It wasn't like, oh man, we about to do something to get put on so people know who we were. Man, if you listen to the first Fuji album, it's called Blunted on Reality. The whole album start off with a poem where the Ku Klux Klan is trying to come and invade this generation. And we talking about, we are not going for that.
Allow that.
Yeah, so if you're trying to be in the music business, this is not the first message that you want to put out. So I think that the key to everything, whether if it's art, whether if it's, you know, you think of like a Picasso, like when you look at that piece, or think of Basquiat when you look at a piece, or just think of Miles Davis, Bitches Brew. Like no one's thinking about, so the idea is we have to think 1,000 years from now, like, is this conversation going to be relevant? And I really think that that's my key, like with this generation, and that's the only thing that I tell them. I'm like, yo, y'all spitting out hits every second on Musically. My daughter's singing a new song, right?
Yep.
The new one is and then she you know, and then she puts me on Musically. She's like, come on, Dad, not boule. No, Dad, you're doing it wrong. Come back again. So
Third take.
And then what I notice is like after 70 songs are playing. I say, Angelina, who's this artist?
She's like, I don't know.
She don't know, but she knows this song. So I think if we can push more musicality, to your point, because there are badass artists out there. They're on the internet, you know what I mean? And we just have to focus on musicality.
Don't you think these platforms give musicality a better chance? Because back to your point, you brought musicality, and the human being that was thinking business is like, who wants this black guy playing a guitar and the girls sing? Like, right? That's what stopped musicality. And now the open platforms, I actually think give musicality a real opportunity.
Yeah, sexy black guy.
Respect.
Yeah.
All right, India, let's move this.
Next one from Alexander.
Alexander asks, what are some essential things to do and to avoid when it comes to personal branding?
From my standpoint, the thing that, you know, it's really, you know, it's so funny. I make my parallels. I know you probably don't know a lot about this backstory, but I was in the wine business and I came out and made YouTube videos when YouTube first came out. And I talked to people in Springfield, New Jersey, not far from East Orange.
That's right.
In Springfield, New Jersey, in my office, I made videos just like this, and I talked to people about wine. I told people wine tasted like whatchamacallit bars, or like when you open a racquetball case, stuff that nobody had ever done before. And there was no Wine Spectator or Food Network that was gonna put on this guy that compared wine to the Iron Sheik giving somebody a camel clutch. Nobody was gonna put me on. The internet put me on, and I think the personal brand thing is really no different than musicality, AKA originality, AKA actually having the chops. I think so many of you, and it's funny, you guys know, my crew knows, I compare entrepreneurship right now to rap and hip hop because it's a genre that is getting looked upon and all of a sudden it's fame and all this stuff. And you see a lot of fake entrepreneurs. That's the same thing as one hit wonder just following the melodies that, or the hooks that work and there's nothing there. I think the number one thing to building a brand, a personal brand, the number one to do is to be you 24/7, 365, forever, never waver, regardless. money and fame doesn't change you, it exposes you. So, it's binary, 1 and 0. Be yourself 24/7, 365, and the thing not to do is alter that in any shape or form.
Facts, man. Yo, in hip hop, we call that you just spit some bars.
I'll take it. Now I'm good.
Bars,
Take that.
man.
Put that quote card everywhere. All right, let's move it.
Brian?
Oh, video.
Yeah.
Good job, India.
Hey Gary V, hey Wyclef, how you guys doing? Thank you very much for taking my question. My name is Brian Rips. I'm a musician and entertainer from New York City. For the last 10 years, I've been making my living writing songs and traveling the country playing for people. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is how to take no for an answer and press on. I'm curious to hear from both of you what some of the biggest no's you've encountered in your career are and how you overcame them and moved on to conquer them.
Great question.
Oh,
That's very nice. That was well done.
great guitar player too.
You know how happy that guy is right now?
So happy.
Hell, man, you killing that guitar. He's in New York.
I'm not sure. Actually.
Yeah, I think he said. Yeah. I think he
Yo,
said.
do me a favor right now,
This
man.
is big.
Hit me at. Okay, we're gonna do this. Let's make this big. I want it.
Now you got to deal with this.
No, listen. No,
They have to deal with this with me all the time.
let's do
I love
this.
it. Do it
let's
big.
do it. Let's do this.
Go ahead.
Right, when you come see me,
In Jersey.
we come chill. Don't worry, I'm gonna have grass and everything.
No worries.
You bring the wine.
I'm bringing the wine.
So why don't we bring the homie in?
Done.
Let's
Brian-
bring him in.
Brian
Let's bring
Rips.
Brian in,
Yep.
and we could do a little
Amazing.
jam
Done.
session. Okay, that'd be cool. So this is what I'm thinking.
Dreams are made
This
on the
is
Ask
cool. I
Gary
mean,
V
he's really
show.
great. But to his question, man, I would say the no factor is a motivation factor, and the thing about it is it goes back to what you say. So every day you constantly have to prove yourself.
Only
But
as good as your last at bat.
You're proving yourself to yourself. Always remember that. Because the day that you wake up and you say, man, I'm already good on piano, I'm already good on guitar, I done wrote 50 songs, I don't need to write anymore, that's the day you're finished.
Finished.
Because the thing that keeps us as human beings going is creativity. The day that we lose that, we completely lose ourselves. So to your point, it's just about each one teach one and constantly being inspired. And whenever someone told me no, it was always a motivation for yes.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, again, so many of you watch my content, only as good as your last at bat, chip on the shoulder. I would say that I'm wired, I'm curious I'm surprised how much I like sticking it to the mark. I'm very competitive. Do you find yourself competitive?
You have to be.
Like
naturally.
To me, I've talked a lot about loving to lose. I do. Like, for some reason, Stefan, you know this when we play basketball in the morning. Like, when I lose, I'm like weird. I'm like, I like it. Like, I have like this, like, there's a feeling that I want to. It motivates me so much. I truly believe that the thing that separates so many people is people are scared of the no and the loss. They think it's a scarlet letter, and what that does is it makes them not go. I love the way he said, when I get no's, I push through. For me, my early childhood, to answer you directly, because two guys that like to philosophize, I'll go right into it. My early childhood was probably my biggest adversity. I didn't have the same adversity of like being a minority or gender or things of that nature. I didn't have a whole lot of money, but the big thing that I had was I was getting D's and F's. So I was making $3,000 a weekend selling baseball cards in the malls of New Jersey. Wow. But I was getting D's and F's as a 13, 14-year-old, and everybody thought I was a loser. My teachers, my friends' parents, because that's when school was the game. And so for me, like the market, the world was telling me I wasn't good, and everything inside of me told me I was gonna be good. I don't think you can win unless you love yourself first. And so I think you're right about it being a one-on-one game inside your own dome. And so for me, my adversity was early on, because once I hit the market, once my entrepreneurial flair came out, my first year of running my dad's business, I grew it substantially. It was over before it started. So, adversity, I think the thing that's most interesting to me is if this company doesn't do well next year, if my next 5 investments don't do well, if my next prediction is that, blah, blah, blah is gonna be huge and it isn't, well then I'm not as good anymore. I'm fascinated by the music industry. 3, 4 good albums in a row, iconic set, 1 bad album, it's amazing. You're just as good as your last at bat.
That's right. I mean, think about it. I mean, in our business, we say 10 million is a championship ring, right?
Okay.
So like, so to be able to sell 10 million a few times and to do it for different people, right?
Yes.
Not yourself.
Yes.
So, because this is another thing. Okay, cool, you can make money, but can you make other people money? Because the key is, if you can make other people money, you create social entrepreneurship.
That's right.
And from
Scale.
that's right. And then, so for me, that's definitely part of, so for me in my business, I remember when we did this score, I got scared after we sold 10 million. Because
crazy, right?
I said, no disrespect to Menudo. or like, no, I'm not dissing. I love Menudo, New Kids on the Block. I love them because they're watching it.
Yep.
I love them. But I was like, holy shit, like we're a pop group now. So I disappeared, man. Got an apartment on 66th Street and 3rd. And I was like in a small room. And I was like, I have this thing called the Carnival. And I was like, I have to do this thing. And I was like, it's artsy, I have to do this thing. And then from there, God landed me Destiny Child, Beyonce and them, right? Somebody was like, yo, we love the Carnival. There's these 4 girls in the hotel room, and we need you to just go see them. And then I went to this hotel.
Let me ask you a question about that hotel room. Was that a moment where you just understand immediately, like did you immediately understand Beyonce had real big time talent, or did that develop, like just for you, one man? I mean, some people, I'm just curious how story time.
I think for me, I have a knack. Like Lauren as a kid, 14, 15.
She's from Maplewood?
Yeah, Maplewood, New
Right
Jersey,
right
Columbia, right? So I get this gift from the church though. It's like purely, and the church called me the choir director. I can find a singer in 2 minutes. I'm like, oh, this is the singer that's gonna sing lead. So definitely when I first saw Beyonce, I was like, wow, right? What do I remember about Beyonce the most? I'll tell you. And she watching, she know.
Thanks for watching, B.
Yeah, every, and this taking me back, right? So Destiny Child was opening up for me.
Is that right?
Right? Watch this. But every time Destiny Child got off the stage and I went on, Beyonce was always on the side studying the show. Now people be like, man, why is she so invincible? She's so invincible because she's a student of the game.
She put in the work.
Right? So this is another thing when we talk about like, so for me, when I show up, it's not about what I'm doing. I want to know what you're doing.
It's
right?
It's actually, what I do for a living is actually only predicated on watching what other people are doing to figure out what they're gonna do next. You know what, I'm gonna stick here and be selfish for a second because it's the thing I like the most. Just binary. One man's opinion, you're just one man.
Yeah.
Who was the most talented person you came across? And who was the hardest working person you've come across? Right now, so far, in your journeys, in your industry,
So far,
I'm just
right?
curious. Yeah, just so far, I'm just real curious. And I know, like, I'm sure this is not what you think about every day, and it might not come that easy, or like as you debate in your head.
For me, it's a setup question.
Okay.
Because I know Carlos Santana watching this right now.
Of course, Carlos, thank you.
You know what
we have a lot of people that
set
tweet.
me up right now.
So,
But I could, you know, it's just like, you know what I mean? Santana's like, you better say me. You put me on the spot. Okay.
I know I'm putting you on the spot.
It's cool,
but I'm
spot.
curious.
It's a good spot.
You don't have to answer, but I'm real damn curious. And actually, I really want to know the
everyone's gonna
hard.
respect
I want
the
the
answer.
hard work one, to be honest.
Everyone's going to
with
respect
you. Okay.
this answer.
Go ahead.
For me, the hardest working person that I've came across in my entire life so far will have to be Michael Jackson. Because, and then this is why I tell you, right? So when you hard working, you're like moving at the speed of light, but somehow you aware on everything going on with the culture and everything. Like you know everything at real time. Like, cause you Michael, man, you're like in Asia somewhere. So why you calling me? And then you're like, yo, you know, I was just watching this TV and I was like, who's this guy, you know, gone to November? You know, I think I'm being pranked and I hang up the phone. The first time Michael calls back, I'm like, holy shit, this fucking Michael Jackson. And yo, this guy scheduled literally shows every day, somehow finds time to land at Sony Studio, come up the elevator, come see me, sit down, and that whole day changed my life. Ever since that, I just see music totally different on the perception, because I'm like, yo, this is Michael Jackson. And he's sitting there normally, and he's giving me the rhythms while he's sitting there. And I know the dude is coming from a, you know, the flight has to be super long. And he's sitting there now, he's like, yo, this is how I'm hearing the bass, this is how I'm hearing the drums, with his whole body. And I'm like, yo, it's freaking Michael. And, right, man, yo, dude, when I tell you I'm tripping. So for me, I would say this is the coolest thing about Michael, man. It's so then we in the room, the two of us. And then he's like, man, you know, your style reminds me of, you know, when we was younger, they took us to Jamaica. There was a guy, he used to smoke a lot of weed. Bob Marley? He was like, no. It's another. I said, oh, Peter Tosh. He said, yeah.
That's unbelievable.
So for me, you know, that was that to me
Was huge.
It was huge, and then I was amazed by this short time that I spent with Whitney Houston.
Yes.
She was insanely incredible, Jersey crew, and man, Whitney's work ethics was crazy. And I guess I was lucky, because when Clive Davis calls you and he's like, yo man, I need a song for Whitney Houston, you know, you start trembling, right? And then Whitney shows up. I'm like, I know Whitney, I know your schedule and what you're going through, show up on 24/7,
ready to work.
Insane, like it's the first record they're being recorded. So when you, and then you pinching yourself, you're like, no, that's really Whitney, the bodyguard, this time. And then she's showing up as if this is the first record she's about to record for her
Because
life.
money and success doesn't change you,
Yeah.
it exposes you.
Facts.
It's just so real. India,
Bars.
The last question was, who do you think is the greatest hustler in the music industry?
get out of town.
I'm serious.
See, I felt it.
Yeah, you knew. You just knew.
Were you just laughing? Were you like, this is so weird?
I was just like, this is great. It's just the flow, obviously.
The
makes
flow,
so
the
much
bars.
sense. Yeah, the bars.
Wyclef, what excites you about tech? How old is your daughter?
My daughter is 11.
And what is she about? So musically, she's all about it.
She's about everything tech related.
She lives in that
As far
phone.
as like the audio, yeah, she lives in the phone.
And what kind of music
So
does she like?
anything, she's eclectic. She's like Clef's daughter. But anything that is relevant,
Yep.
she puts me up on it. Whether if it's like from a DJ Snake remix, this is insane, to the musically, and this is how it has to be adjusted.
Yep.
To dad. I don't know, man. You have to challenge Jason Derulo to a dance competition. You know what I mean? So she's so in tune.
And what about for you? What about for you? What comes most natural? Any of them? Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram?
Yeah. Well, what's funny is to every social media, it goes with your certain likeness, right? So for me, the one that naturally goes with me is the one that can be instant at real time. And that would be Facebook mention.
The live.
The live.
You love that?
Yeah, I love that, because what happens is,
Sometimes you'll just go on.
yeah, it gives the fan real time. I'm all about, because sometimes you catching a vibe and you want to give the fan that exposure that they can only catch that lightning at that second.
Yep.
So for me, I guess like for DJ Khaled, it's Snapchat.
Yep.
So my version of Snapchat for me is like Facebook mentions.
I love it.
You know?
Yep, I love it. India, good show.
Thanks.
Wyclef, I really appreciate
Yo,
it.
so
I enjoy this.
I'll see you at the studio.
100%.
Bars.
What kind of wine do you drink? Are you into it yet? Am I going to educate you?
Well, of course. I mean, you could never stop learning. You know what I mean? So I look
Best.
forward.
I love this guy.
No,
He's
no,
right.
no.
He's right.
I look forward to being educated. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
But
shout out to my Russian Jewish friends, and when you're coming, let me know, because I have a few wine boys
Okay.
that are gonna show up with some things they brought back from the cave.
Okay, I love it.
And we gonna need your opinion on some stuff.
All right, Wyclef, every time we have a guest, they get to ask the Vayner Nation the question of the day. Any question you want, we'll get hundreds of questions on Facebook and YouTube answered for you. It could be anything about music. It could be what you're thinking about. It could be absolutely anything.
All right. My question to the Vayner audience. An election's coming up.
Oh, going big.
And Bernie started a movement. And clearly, Bernie's not going to be the candidate. But Bernie's movement have become so strong that it becomes part of America Youth Moving Forward movement. So my question for you is, how would the candidate that you choose, that you're going to continue with the idea of free education, the different things that Bernie is talking about, are you still going to be part of activating your communities, meaning your mayors, your congressmen, your statesmen, on this movement that have started? And who are you basically going to be voting for, and why?
Wyclef wants a bloodbath in the comments
Yes,
section. I love
that's
it.
right, baby.
I
Let's
appreciate
go
it,
for
man.
it.
You keep asking questions, we'll keep answering them. What's up, guys? Hope you enjoyed the show. Please, do I get to link it up anywhere? Is it like in here, or is it down below? Is it in print, or is it in my video?
No, it'll be down to your left.
It's here, down to my left. Like right here, there's a button for them to subscribe to my YouTube video.
The little bug,
Yeah, it's that little buggy thing. That's right, guys. Click this. That's right, use that.